Barça! Barça! Barça!
Hey guys, welcome to Barcelona United. Welcome to another video. And after PSG get knocked out by Manchester United, I want to talk about the possibility of bringing in Kylian Mbappe. My thoughts on Kylian Mbappe when the season began was that he was an impossible player to bring in, as I thought that anything below 300 million was going to be rejected. But after he's fallen in the round of 16 for 2 consecutive years at PSG, and I would have to say the same thing with Neymar, they could both be looking for an exit of Paris Saint-Germain at the end of the season. I think that if we can agree a player plus cash deal for Mbappe, or just straight up 200 to 220 million, 240 million, or something like that, we could agree a deal for Kylian Mbappe with Paris Saint-Germain. This is the right time to sign Mbappe. I think that we can put every other priority aside if in this summer transfer window we can get through the door Kylian Mbappe and Matthijs de Ligt. As you are seeing on your screen right now, this is what I think the future of Barcelona holds for the next couple of years. And just tell me, doesn't that look absolutely unbelievable to you? Marc-Andre ter Stegen in net. For Barcelona, for our style, he's the best goalkeeper there is. Hands down the best goalkeeper there is. He's been having a superb performances so far this season, and he's been showing his class as one of the world's best goalkeepers. Then you have Jordi Alba, in the past 2 seasons the best left back hands down, as Marcelo's levels has dropped down considerably, and Alba's as well. That connection with Lionel Messi, with that filtered through ball, curved inside for Alba to send it back to Lionel Messi for a typical Lionel Messi goal. It's been a classic move at Barcelona for the past couple seasons. Then you have Samuel Umtiti, and I put Samuel Umtiti because I believe that if he gets to recover well from that knee injury, he's still the best center back in the world next to Rafael Varane. And I think that for our style, definitely he's the best center back there is. But if he doesn't recover, I think Clement Lenglet has done more than enough to show that he's good enough to be a Barcelona main first team player. And then you have Matthijs de Ligt, who at 19 rivals Umtiti, Varane, Lenglet, Piqué, whatever center back you want to compare him to. He just lacks experience compared to them. Everything else he has. Physical ability, good read on the game, he's comfortable passing the ball, and he has a fantastic personality. And then you have Nelson Semedo, who for me, Ernesto Valverde has been doing things wrong because he hasn't been given the minutes that he should have. Sergio Roberto right now, I think, is at the level of Semedo right now, and Semedo is only, I believe, at 50% of what he can give us. I believe that a 50% Semedo is as good as 100% Roberto, because Sergio Roberto is better going forward than Semedo, but he lacks that explosiveness that Semedo has, plus that pace and strength gives him an edge when defending, and we've seen it this season. He barely gets beaten in a one-on-one challenge. And then we still have the best pivot in world football, and probably of all time, in Sergio Busquets. Sergio Busquets, his performances have been dropping in the past couple seasons, and I will admit it, but I believe that's more due to the performances of the team have gone down, and individual performances go down when the team performance goes down. He's had to do a lot more work than he should be doing. Plus, age doesn't forgive anyone, and he's gonna become 30 years old pretty soon if he's not already. And that's why I think that he could start playing, lowering his minutes down, maybe 15% every season, 20% every season. He could be playing 60, 70% of the next season's games. And maybe we could bring in someone like De Jong to alleviate some of those minutes at the Camp Nou, maybe, who knows, you could bring in a Julian Bagel, who I think is a perfect replacement for Sergio Busquets. Or just give minutes to Todibo, to Oriol Busquets, who I think they deserve a chance to see if they're good enough. Who knows? If they're good enough, you don't have to pay anything for them because they're already Barcelona players. If they're not ready, okay, bring in Julian Bagel, who I think is being devaluated by Borussia Dortmund, and maybe 25 to 30 million bid would be good enough to bring him to the Camp Nou. I think you have now Arthur and De Jong, who for me are basically the same player. They are as close to Iniesta and Xavi as you're gonna get. They don't have to be as good as Iniesta and Xavi. They just need to do a role as good as Iniesta and Xavi. And they do the same role. They organize the play, they hold up the ball, they're pretty good protecting the ball with their body. They shield it perfectly fine. They barely lose any balls. They're gonna keep possession for us at all times. Our levels of possession could go up to a 20% if we just play a midfield of Arthur and De Jong, because they're that good at moving the ball around. They make the right decisions. They're not gonna make a forward pass if they don't need to. They see danger. I much rather than play the ball back and reset the play. Then you have Kylian Mbappe and Ousmane Dembele on either wing. I think they can both exchange wings at moments on the game. I think Kylian Mbappe could play on the left sometimes on the right. Dembele sometimes on the right, sometimes on the left. I think that would be a fantastic pair of wingers, because with that amount of pace and Lionel Messi being able to put those balls through, I think that would be absolutely phenomenal. Because he's range of passing with the amount of pace that those players have, and that's what I was emphasizing on, playing to the space, attacking the space, because with that amount of pace they are gonna be eating alive every single defense in world football. The fullbacks and center backs are not gonna be able to keep up with Mbappe and Dembele. There's very rarely you're gonna find defenders able to rival them for pace, especially if they have their backs facing the goal. And then you have Messi, who, that with Mbappe and Dembele, pulling the center backs away from Lionel Messi towards his space, because if the defenders keep an eye on Mbappe and Dembele, they leave Messi alone. But if they target Messi, you leave two of the quickest and most decisive players there are right now in world football. And why do I think this is possible? Because Kylian Mbappe, as I've said, is just lost in the round of 16 again. I think right now you give any Barcelona fan the option of bringing Mbappe to Barcelona and getting rid of Luis Suarez, of Ivan Rakitic, of PK, or whatever, they will say yes. I think that he should have been here already, and I will explain that there's another name that goes for a lot of money right now that you're not seeing in this lineup, and I want to talk separate minutes about him, and that is Philippe Coutinho. I absolutely loved the signing of Philippe Coutinho. He is a cracking player. I think that he should have succeeded at Barcelona already, and if he would have played in his position, he might as well have. If you gave him time to play with Arthur and Busquets this season, at least the home games at the Camp Nou, the same thing as Guardiola did with Iniesta during the first treble winning season, where he only played the first half of the season, the home games with Xavi, I think that maybe we would have seen if he's good, if he's able to perform that role for us. But as he's not been able to cement himself as part of the team, I believe that his time is up at Barcelona. I think that Frenkie de Jong is not an experiment. He's a player that will succeed at Barcelona unless something weird happens, like an injury, or that his surroundings start telling him that he's a future Ballon d'Or or something like that. So I think that with this midfield and attack, we are not making any experiments unless something weird happens. With Coutinho, it would be still an experiment, and an unnecessary experiment, because Philippe Coutinho went for 120 million plus 40 on add-ons, a total of 160 million. Monaco sold Kylian Mbappe to Paris Saint-Germain for 180 million to a direct rival in their own league, 180 million. So for 20 million more, and considering that they sold them to a direct rival, you're telling me we could not have signed Kylian Mbappe, who at that moment wasn't as worldwide recognized as Coutinho. That's why you have to be brave. You have to take opponent players. You have to take a chance. If you don't take chances and you keep taking cowardly decisions, you're gonna keep having a team of 30-year plus pros that are just gonna be decreasing in their performances throughout games, and you end up with AC Milans of very old players that they are not gonna be able to sell, and the economy goes down, and then there they are right now. A Milan that was one of the greatest teams in world football, and now look, they're struggling to even make Champions League. And as we didn't do things right, now we have to pay more for Mbappe because PSG hold captive all of their players. But I believe that if they make a fuss, if they start acting out, maybe there's a possibility that maybe Coutinho plus 100 million for Mbappe, or I don't know, 150 million, 120 million, something along like that. We could make that signing possible. Or if we sell Coutinho back for 120 million, 100 million, because he still holds his value as a very good player, and their teams are needed of top class players. So maybe we could sign Mbappe if we are able to get rid of Coutinho. I would love to give Coutinho a chance, but if Mbappe is a possibility, we must bring him. We must bring him to Barcelona because he will absolutely succeed at this club if nothing weird happens. If you cannot bring in Kylian Mbappe, I can make another suggestion of maybe something like this. Dembele switches wing, and then you bring in the likes of Anthony Martial, who I was hoping that he wasn't going to sign a contract at Manchester United. I was hoping for Mourinho to stay at United just so Martial wouldn't sign a new deal and he could go free this summer and sign for Barcelona. But you know, even with his new deal, I think for something like 80 to 50, something somewhere around 50 to 80 million, we could sign someone like Anthony Martial, and I think that would be phenomenal for us. And you must be asking, what about Messi? Don't we need another striker? Mbappe can perfectly play at the striker role. Martial can perfectly play at the striker role. And I believe that we should bring in Luka Jovic, but he's not our priority right now. I think that we should, if we can make a team like this, we should, because Messi is not able to run as much. And we've seen this season that Semedo and Roberto haven't been getting the help from his side of the wing because he's not able to do it, and I don't expect him to do it. But we must bring him someone that can help him, someone with a lot of energy. A young, revitalized winger is what we need right now at Barcelona. And you know, if we can make this team happen, or maybe with Martial instead of Mbappe, this team would be beating up every single team in the world for the next couple years. This is the team for the next 5 seasons, with some changes just made, like Busquets, maybe Julian Bagel for 30 million, Alba for maybe Grimaldo, or Ferland Mendy for 30 million, maybe Tagliafico. If Semedo doesn't work out, you maybe sign Youssef Attal from Nice, you sign Bellerin from Arsenal. There are definitely options to be had, but this team would be phenomenal. I think Messi will try to be at a top level until the next World Cup in Qatar. I think he wants to reach that next World Cup and give it one more go. And until then, I think we're going to have a world-class Messi with just less stamina and less explosiveness, but still decisive for Barcelona. And you know, maybe in 2 seasons time, he can start giving only 60 to 70% of the games of the season and let maybe someone like Luka Jovic play. And play something like Luka Jovic, Dembele and Mbappe. Or Luka Jovic, Dembele and Martial. I think that would be absolutely phenomenal for Barcelona. And if we can make that happen, players like Luis Suarez can go, Rakitic, PK, Coutinho. There's a lot of money to be had. Like, everyone must be saying like, how are you gonna pay all of this? Well, I'm gonna be realistic. I'm gonna go for the low on all the players. Rakitic, 50 million. We can definitely get 50 million for Rakitic. Luis Suarez, I think 50 million. If he finishes with 30 plus goal season again, I think 50 million is more than affordable for any other club for a player like Luis Suarez. Malcolm, 40 million. I think that we can get rid of Malcolm for 40 million, or more than get rid of Malcolm for 40 million, I would like us to maybe keep him or just sell him to bring in Hirving Lozano, because I think Hirving Lozano is more the type of player that we need, someone like a Pedro. I think Hirving Lozano could be our Pedro, that sub of quality that attacks the space, that we can bring in the past 20 to 30 minutes of the game and can drastically change the game, and that is good enough to start for Barcelona anyways. So let's not count Malcolm, because I want to use that money to bring in Lozano. Lozano for 40 million I think is more than realistic, to be honest. So we have 50 million for Suarez, 50 million for Rakitic. I think, let's say 100 and let's go for the low side on Coutinho, 100 million for Coutinho. You have 200 million right there. Then you have the signing of Piqué. I think Piqué, you could give him one more season and then he could go, or this season he could go. I don't think he's gonna go this season, but if we were to get rid of Piqué, I think 30 million to 20 million is very realistic. So let's say 30 million for Piqué, that's 230 million. Andre Gomez, let's put, I would say 25 million to 20 million. Let's go on the low side, 20 million for Andre Gomez. That is 250 million. Let's put another 20 million on Denis Suarez. I think 270 million. Arturan is going for free. The money for Alcácer is coming in of I believe something like 25 million, so 295 million. The money for Paulinho is coming in 50 million, which is 345 million. And then you have the money that we're able to spend every season, who the board has said to be 60 million, and we didn't use the 60 million from last season because we got it from the player sales last season. So 60 million from last season, 60 million from this season, that's 120 million. And the board says 120 million for 2 seasons. I don't believe you, because you were able to sign Griezmann without selling any players. So if you were able to sign Griezmann without selling anything, I believe that we could easily spend, I think clubs like Madrid, Barcelona, PSG, well, PSG, Manchester City definitely, but teams like Bayern Munich, United, Liverpool, they're all able to spend 100 million every season and be financially fine. So, but I'm gonna go for the low side. 120 million is the value of 2 seasons. So I'm gonna put 120 million on top of 345 million. We had 465 million euros to spend this summer without damaging the economy, without getting hit by fair play. Are you telling me that for that much we cannot pay for the signings of De Jong, Mbappe, De Ligt? So De Jong 86 million, De Ligt at most I think 80 million, and I've said that if we can get to Debo in that deal, maybe we could lower to 60, 70, 50 million, but let's go for 80 million. So 80 million, let's round up De Jong to 85 million, and that is 165 million. And I said we had 465 million. Still have 300 million left, and you're telling me that for 300 million we cannot get Kylian Mbappe, which is what I thought that we could have signed him anyways. So we can get Mbappe, De Jong, De Ligt, and Lozano this season, and have this team for the next couple of years. And then next season, maybe you can sign Luka Jovic. You know, it's a total possibility in my opinion. I think with 300 million you could honestly get Luka Jovic and Mbappe, and then you would have maybe a team like this of Ter Stegen and Silson in net, Semedo and Roberto at right back, with Musa Wage perfectly able to cover, Mathis De Ligt, Samuel Umtiti, Todibo, and Longley. 4 services that could do a job for us. Oh, and I didn't count Vermaelen because he's going on a free this season. Jordi Alba, I think he can still play 80% of the games this season. I think that remaining games we could maybe do Juan Miranda and Cucurella. I think Cucurella, we should give him a chance. I think he's perfectly able to cover 20% of the games this season. Come on, like Copa del Rey and some easy La Liga games. He should be more than capable of. For 3 midfield positions, we have Sergio Busquets, Arthur, De Jong, Ricky Puig, Alenya, Oriol Busquets. So we have 6 players for 3 positions, And Semedo and Todibo can play also in the CDM spot. And also Sergio Roberto can play in center midfield. So we have more than enough cover in midfield for Barcelona. And then you have Dembele, Messi, Mbappe, Lozano, and Jovic. Or maybe if you cannot sign Jovic, Abel Ruiz. Or you tell me that team is not good enough to challenge for the next couple seasons and be an absolute force to be reckoned with. You must be joking, because that team for me is gonna beat up every single team in the world. And at least I really think that we could be winning the double, the La Liga and Copa del Rey, for the next 5 seasons straight. And maybe throwing some Champions League in there, because I think the Champions League is still a competition where you need a lot of luck. The Copa del Rey too, but you know, there's less caliber teams and luck plays a little bit less than when you're played against top class teams like City, Liverpool, United, Juventus, Real Madrid even, Bayern Munich. So this team for me, at least we could dominate Spain. We could make Madrid and Atletico Madrid just, you know, go in crisis, because being that dominant couldn't send them to go in crisis, and then just try to challenge for as many Champions Leagues as we can. So yeah, leave me your comments in the comment section below. What was your opinion on this team? Do you think we can make this possible? Do you think I am delirious? Or do you think that we could dominate for the next couple seasons if we can make this happen? Because most of these players are players for the next 10 years. Only Messi, Busquets, Alva, and Umtiti in like 5 years time we're gonna have to replace. Everyone else is a player that can perfectly play for the next 10 years. So leave me your comments in the comment section below. I hope you have a nice rest of your day. I'll see you on the next one, Blaugranas.